Title: The Mysterious Golden Mirror. In the quiet village of Umwahia, nestled deep within the African rainforest, there lived a curious young man named Ikenna. He was known for his unquenchable thirst for adventure and a natural gift for solving mysteries. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast long shadows on the red earth, Ikenna's elderly grandmother called him to her side. "Ikenna, there's a secret I must share with you," she said, her voice trembling with age and caution. She reached beneath her bed and pulled out a dusty, ornate wooden box. From within it, she carefully lifted an old parchment and unrolled it before his wide eyes. On the parchment was a map marked with strange symbols and an ancient path that led to a hidden cave deep in the forest. "This map belonged to your great-grandfather," she began. "He was the last to seek the golden mirror, an artifact said to hold immense power, the ability to show one's future or change it. But beware, for the mirror is cursed. No one has ever returned from the cave." Ikenna's pulse quickened. "Where is this cave?" "The journey is treacherous," his grandmother continued. "You will face creatures that guard the mirror, and the forest itself will try to keep you out. But if your heart is true, you may succeed where others have failed." That night, Ikenna could hardly sleep, his mind filled with visions of the golden mirror and adventure that awaited him. At dawn, armed with his bow and a machete, he set off into the forest, guided by the mysterious map. The trees thickened as he ventured deeper, and soon the path disappeared, leaving only the symbols on the map to guide him. Days passed, and Ikenna encountered the dangers his grandmother had warned him about. He narrowly escaped a pack of wild hyenas and had to outsmart the mischievous forest spirits that tried to lead him astray. Yet, despite the odds, he pressed on, driven by the lure of the unknown. On the 5th day, Ikenna finally stood before the cave, its entrance hidden behind a cascade of vines and moss. The air was thick with mystery, and an eerie silence hung around the area. As he stepped inside, the darkness enveloped him, but a faint golden glow at the far end beckoned him forward. The cave was unlike anything he had imagined. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly as if guiding him toward the treasure. In the center of the cave stood the legendary golden mirror, resting on an ancient stone pedestal. It was magnificent, framed in intricate gold patterns, gleaming even in the low light. Ikenna's hand trembled as he reached for the mirror, his heart racing. As soon as his fingers touched its surface, a blinding light exploded from it, and he felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. When the light dimmed, Ikenna found himself not in the cave, but standing in a grand palace surrounded by riches beyond his wildest dreams. But something was wrong. The people in the palace were speaking his name with awe, referring to him as King Ikenna. His reflection in the palace mirrors showed him older, wearing a crown. It was a vision of the future, a future where he was a powerful ruler. At first, the sight of his destiny thrilled him, but soon a shadowy figure appeared behind him in the mirror, cloaked in darkness. The figure whispered, "This future comes at a cost. The mirror will take as much as it gives. You must choose greatness or freedom." Ikenna recoiled, his mind racing. Could he sacrifice his freedom for the life of power and wealth that lay before him, or would he return to his village and live the life of adventure, albeit without the crown? He stared into the golden mirror one last time and saw his future as a king unravel. In that moment, Ikenna knew the choice he had to make. With a firm resolve, he turned away from the mirror and began the journey back home. The cave trembled once more, and the mysterious glow faded behind him. Ikenna emerged from the forest days later, not with riches, but with the wisdom that true power lies in freedom, not in ruling others. The golden mirror was left behind, its mysteries and temptations still hidden deep within the forest, waiting for the next brave soul to stumble upon it. But for Ikenna, his adventure had taught him that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we leave untouched. From that day forward, Ikenna became a legend in his village, not as a king, but as a man who dared to face the golden mirror and chose his own path. Years passed, and Ikenna's story became a tale told around the fires of Umuahia. Children would listen with wide eyes, and elders would nod knowingly. But for Ikenna, the memory of the golden mirror stayed with him like a quiet echo, never fading, always reminding him of the path he had chosen. One evening, as the village prepared for a festival, Ikenna sat alone near the river, watching the water ripple beneath the moonlight. Though he had no regrets about his decision, a small part of him often wondered what might have been if he had taken the mirror's offer. Would he have led a great kingdom? Could he have used the power for good? As he stared at his reflection in the water, he noticed something odd. The moonlight seemed to shimmer differently tonight, as though the river was hiding something. He leaned closer, and suddenly the surface of the water rippled unnaturally, revealing the faint outline of a figure, one that resembled the shadowy presence he had seen in the mirror. The figure whispered from the water, its voice barely audible over the sound of the flowing river. "The mirror is not done with you, Ikenna." Ikenna's heart raced. He stood up, gripping his staff tightly. "I made my choice. I turned away." The figure's laughter was soft, yet it carried a chill. Turning away does not break the bond. The mirror still watches. It has marked you. The revelation sent a shiver through Ikenna. He had always assumed that leaving the cave had ended the story, but it seemed the mirror's influence lingered. "What do you want from me?" Ikenna asked, his voice steady, though his mind was a whirl of uncertainty. "The mirror shows many futures," the figure said. "It does not forget those who gaze into it. You have walked your own path, but not all paths can be chosen freely. There are forces at work, Ikenna, forces that wish to see you return." Before he could respond, the figure disappeared, dissolving into the river's calm surface as if it had never been there. The forest grew quiet, and only the distant sounds of the festival reached his ears. For the first time since his adventure, Ikenna felt a deep unease. That night, as the village celebrated with music and dancing, Ikenna remained on edge. His instincts, honed through years of exploring the forest and facing dangers, told him that something was coming, something tied to the golden mirror. Over the next few weeks, strange things began to happen. People in the village claimed they had seen a golden glow in the forest at night, the same glow that had led Ikenna to the cave. Animals grew restless, and the once familiar paths of the forest seemed to shift and change, as though the land itself was being manipulated by some unseen force. One evening, as Ikenna was preparing to visit his grandmother, an old traveler arrived at his doorstep. The man's face was lined with age, and his eyes held a strange, knowing glint. "You are Ikenna, the one who sought the mirror," the traveler said, his voice low and raspy. "I am," Ikenna replied, studying the man carefully. "Who are you?